Hello, welcome to Rambling Ronnie's YouTube channel. This is where I, Ronnie, talk about true crime, unsolved mysteries, and interject with any other random things I feel like talking about. Please look for me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook if you want to leave any comments or information you may have on whatever I am discussing. This episode, I will be discussing the mysterious unsolved disappearance of Angela Hammond. Angela was abducted while on a payphone with her boyfriend one night in 1991 and has not been seen since. Angela Hammond was born on February 9, 1971, to parents Marcia and Chris Hammond. They lived in Kansas City for Angela's first 4 years, and then they moved to Clinton, Missouri to be near Marcia's parents. They gave birth to Angela's younger brother, Loren Hammond. After this, Chris and Marcia divorced. Angela and her brother continued their young lives despite the disruption. Their parents were loving and supportive, and Angela eventually became a young woman meeting the love of her life, Rob Schaefer. Angela was 19 and Rob was 18 when they met, and their relationship developed quickly. In 1991, when Angela was 20, she discovered she was pregnant. The young couple were happy with the news and became engaged with high hopes for the future. They moved in together, with Rob planning on joining the military and Angela working and going to school. On April 4th, 1991, Angela and Rob went to a family barbecue. It was a standard get-together with nothing amiss, and afterwards at 10 p.m., Angela dropped Rob off at his mother's house so he could babysit his brother until his mother got home from work. Angela and Rob had plans to meet back up later in the night, and so Angela left to spend time with her friend Kyla. They spent about an hour together and then parted ways. Angela then called Rob at 11:15 from a payphone located in a Food Barn store parking lot, letting him know that she was getting tired and wanted to go home and rest. They spoke for half an hour, and during the phone call, Angela told Rob that there was a strange man circling the block repeatedly in an older green Ford F-150 pickup truck. Just after telling Rob about this strange person, the vehicle drove up to the empty payphone booth next to the one Angela was using. The man left his truck, walked towards the empty booth, then went back to his truck and grabbed a flashlight and appeared to be looking for something. Angela asked the man if he needed to use the phone, and he said no. According to Rob, that was when he heard Angela scream. Rob then drove a vehicle that was at his mother's house to Angela's location, desperate to help her. On the way, in a dramatic moment like a scene from a movie, the truck passes Rob and he can see a woman is struggling and screaming inside. Rob put his vehicle in reverse and made a U-turn, giving chase until the car's transmission failed. Rob walked back to town, managing to get a ride to the police station so he could report what happened and get help. Rob arrived at the station after midnight and told the police about the incident, and the police were skeptical but began to investigate anyways. They found the broken vehicle Rob had been driving in the middle of the street, and Angela's car abandoned in the parking lot where she was using the payphone, and her purse was still inside the car. Angela's parents were then notified, and the cops had to do their best to track their daughter. Rob was considered a prime suspect, but this was dropped after he passed a polygraph, and witnesses came forward reporting to have seen the green Ford F-150 driving in the area suspiciously at the time Angela was in the parking lot on the payphone. There was speculation of other suspects, but nothing was substantiated. The community of Clinton worked together to put up posters and conduct searches. This was all to no avail. Nearly 2 weeks later, the Clinton police contacted the Missouri Rural Crime Scene Squad to get assistance looking up older F-150 Ford pickup trucks. Nothing came of this search. Police considered Angela's disappearance to have a possible connection to two similar disappearances that happened earlier that year. On January 19, 1991, in Max Creek, Missouri, 42-year-old Trudy Darby was working the night shift at a local convenience store. At 10 p.m., she was getting ready to close up the store when she noticed 3 men hovering outside of the store. She called her son and asked him to come to the store to be with her as she closed up because she was feeling uncomfortable, and so he agreed to come. However, by the time he arrived, Trudy was gone. 2 days later, her body was found 15 miles away, nude, with 2 gunshot wounds to the head. On February 27, 1991, in Nevada, Missouri, 30-year-old Cheryl Ann Kenny was working at a convenience store, also working the night shift. And similarly to Trudy, Cheryl decided to send the janitor home and close up earlier than the actual closing time. By 10:17 p.m., she had set the store's alarm and headed to her vehicle. She had never been seen again since that night. These are 2 cases that are so eerily similar to Angela's, and both are within a 100-mile radius to where Angela went missing. In 1994, 3 years later, Trudy Darby's murder was solved. The perpetrators were discovered, charged, and convicted of her murder. That left Angela and Cheryl to receive justice. However, their bodies have never been discovered, and no connection to Trudy's killers could be established. By November of 1991, 7 months after Angela went missing, Unsolved Mysteries covered Angela's disappearance. There had been tips and sightings that had come in before the episode aired, and after the episode aired, even more tips came in. But sadly, all of these led to nothing. 30 years have passed since Angela and her unborn child went missing, and the Hammond family are still wanting to know what happened that night. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and let me know what your thoughts are on this case. Thank you for tuning in, and take care.